Good morning, friends. I'd like to spend some time this morning talking about an interesting story from the Gospels. And the text we're going to look at today is taken from examination of both Mark and Matthew. In Mark, it's found in chapter 11, verses 12 through 25. It's the cursing of the fig tree. And Jesus goes and clears the temple between coming back and telling the parable or the meaning behind the fig tree. And in Matthew, it's chapter 21, 18 through 22, a much more self-contained story. So I hope to return to a bit more of our Lenten theme today and carry it on consistently through Eastertide. So why are we talking about the fig tree today? Well, this one I really have to thank my wife for. And as we began to think about what blog I could do to return to a bit more of a Lenten theme, this really emerged for us as an interesting way to talk about Lent. And if you just look at the fig tree story on face value side of things, there's Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem near Passover. It's almost Passover, and it's near the end of his life. He stops, they find a fig tree. He stops. It's not the season for figs, which keep that in mind, it's not the season for figs. And Jesus doesn't find fruit. And so he curses the fig tree. And he says some wonderful things when the disciples ask him why about if you have faith, you can do not only this, but faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. Which the faith stuff is good and it needs to be examined and it's deep and rich. But what I want to talk about today, most especially in the context of the fig tree, is if you look at this story just on face value, Jesus can appear somewhat harsh and results-oriented and quick to judge. Because again, it's not the season for figs. He doesn't find fruit. He immediately curses the fig tree, right? But that's only looking at it if we take Jesus as removed from the situation with the fig tree and only using the fig tree as a way of teaching and a way of demonstrating something. This sort of results-oriented reading could be difficult for those with disabilities and neuro and physical divergences because we're not very quick in our results obtaining. It takes us longer to do things. It can be a challenge to do the average thing. So when we look at results-oriented things, this can be somewhat troubling or challenging reading for those with diverse embodiments. However, what if we take this story as Jesus identifying with the fig tree? It's near the end of his life. He is on the road to be crucified. He is on the road during his own Lenten journey. He knows why they're coming back to Jerusalem. We know from other stories in the Gospels, he is coming back to die. And he has dealt with disciples and followers who again and again and again have fallen short and been really kind of dense and not really understanding what he is about. He's had his ups, but he's definitely had an up and down road. So he might be wondering, where is the fruit in my own life? When am I going to find good soil for my message to take hold? So what if Jesus is identifying with the fig tree? And that's really what I want us to pivot on. Because I don't think it's just about Jesus not finding the fruit or not finding the results he wants in our lives, so he's done with us and things are finished and he's abrupt. I think it's about sometimes things need to die for deeper fruit to come forward. And looking at this story as we can from a post-resurrection perspective, we know that Jesus had to undergo his own trial for the true depth of his message to finally strike home. So my question to you is, whether you're disabled or able-bodied or anywhere along the diversely embodied spectrum, are there things that you need to let go of, even if they're good things, for true fruit to flourish in your life? Are there limits that you placed on yourself? Are there limits that others have placed on you that you've bought into, even if they're good, seemingly good things, that if you let them go and release them, you would find truer fruit and a more fruitful ministry? And also, as those surrounding our other brothers and sisters of whatever their embodiment, how are we being called to be good, supportive, fruitful soil? Because I think that's another thing that's going on here, is that we are supporting our brothers and sisters. We have to be good soil for the ministry and the fruit to be raised in. And what are we being called to make sure that we're good soil and we are providing an environment for everybody to experience the kingdom of God? So I think the story of the fig tree is less about immediate results and more about letting old things go so new things can flourish, and being good soil for our brothers and sisters so that everyone can produce the truest and deepest fruit possible. Thank you, friends. Have a blessed weekend and a good week, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.